No one told you.
Told me what?
Michael Myers is alive.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
I'm coming for you, Michael.
Halloween Kills came out in the year 2021 and was directed by David Gordon Green. This would be his second time directing a Halloween film, as he had previously directed the film Halloween in 2018. That film would kick off a brand new timeline into the Halloween franchise, a timeline that respected the events of the 1978 film, but then skipped everything that had come after it until Halloween 2018, 40 years later. And that film did so well in theaters that they decided to give it 2 more sequels. The first one, the one we're talking about today, would be called Halloween Kills, and the second one would be called Halloween Ends. And I remember when they announced this on Twitter, I was at work at the time, a little notification popped up that they were doing 2 more films following the events of Halloween 2018, and I was so excited for this movie. Now, this movie was originally slated to come out in 2020, but unfortunately, due to the global pandemic, this film, along with so many others, would be delayed indefinitely, and this film wouldn't end up getting a release date until October of 2021. And while it absolutely sucked having to wait not only a couple of years, but through a global pandemic just to find out how Michael Myers was going to make his way out of that fiery basement trap at the end of Halloween 2018, when I did finally get to sit down in a theater and watch this film, it was actually a really special experience because this movie came out in October of 2021, which was really close to my birthday. So a family member of mine went and bought a private showing for Halloween Kills for me and my family and friends that wanted to join me. And so we all sat down in a private theater to watch Halloween Kills. And it was just a special experience that I'll never forget. And maybe it felt that much more special because we had been kept away from theaters for so long up until early to mid 2021. And while I do have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Halloween Kills, and that is something that we will get into in my review, I did want to take time before the review to tell you guys the story of my first viewing of this film, because it's such a special memory to me, and it's one of those memories of a franchise that makes me love the franchise that much more. But with all that said, today I'm continuing on with my Halloween movie review series, where I'm watching each and every one of the films in the Halloween franchise and then dropping reviews for those films every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in October of 2025, leading up to the spookiest day of the year, Halloween 2025, where I will be dropping a full ranked list for this entire franchise from the worst to the best. And while I am very excited to talk to you guys about Halloween Kills, give you all of my thoughts, there is a very special message that I need to give you, and you're going to know this message whether you love or hate this film, and that message is evil dies tonight. Let's do the review.
Michael Myers is alive.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So Halloween Kills is a direct continuation to Halloween 2018, which means this movie opens up directly after the events of that previous film. Now, when our movie opens, the first character that we're reintroduced to is Officer Hawkins. He, of course, got his throat sliced by the doctor who was trying to get to Michael Myers to point him in the direction of Laurie Strode. We all thought Hawkins had died in that film because he got his throat slit, but he's still alive and he gets rushed to the hospital. And before going to Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, we are treated to a flashback all the way back to 1978 to a young Officer Hawkins on the night that Michael first came home. Because remember that this film only looks at the events of that original 1978 film and then moves forward to Halloween of 2018. So we go back to 1978 when Michael Myers was shot out of that window by Loomis. He hits the ground, he disappears, that film ends. Well, this flashback scene shows you what happened to Michael on that night, how he was captured by the police and brought to justice, because Haddonfield PD is on the case. They're looking to kill Michael Myers, and we see see that a young Officer Hawkins was actually there that night. He was one of the ones trying to get to Michael. And when Officer Hawkins, along with another officer, are able to track Michael to the old Myers house, they go inside, they try to stop Michael. The other officer ends up getting killed by Hawkins accidentally, and then Michael Myers makes his way out of the house and stands still like he did when he was a child. That's when the police are able to arrest him. And it's just a really cool throwback scene to 1978. It will be in my positives because there's so many things about that scene that I absolutely love. We then flash forward back to 2018, where we see Laurie Strode, once again played by Jamie Lee Curtis, in the back of that pickup truck where we last left her. She's not alone though, because of course in the back of that pickup truck with her is her daughter Karen, played once again by Judy Greer, and her granddaughter Allison, played by Andy Matichik. And they are barreling down the road in the back of that pickup truck, getting away from Laurie Strode's home, which is currently on fire. Because remember, at the end of the last film, they had locked Michael Myers in the basement, they shot him, they stabbed him, pushed him down the stairs, they locked it because that whole house was actually a trap in waiting for the boogeyman. And once he was locked down there, they lit the house on fire, and now the house is going down in flames, hoping to exterminate the boogeyman once and for all. Well, that is until Laurie and company are going down the road in their pickup truck and the Haddonfield Fire Department is on the other way, rushing to a burning house. They don't realize who's in there, and when they get there, they try to make sure that the house is clear, that no one's in there and dying, and when they get in there, well, they run into Michael Myers, and he kills them in a glorious carnage-filled scene where he kills each and every one of those firefighters in a brutal fashion, and it's just a great way to open a movie called Halloween Kills. But as we go through this movie, we see Michael Myers making his way back to his old home. We see the crowd in Haddonfield on a very reckless path to try and kill Michael Myers once and for all. And we see Laurie Strode in the hospital healing from her wounds. And she says something that's very important to this version of Michael Myers, this very supernatural version of him. And that is, as this Michael Myers continues to kill, his evil continues to transcend. He becomes more and more supernatural with every kill. And since this film is called Halloween Kills, well, he's going to be doing a lot of that, which means his evil is just going to grow and get worse and worse for the town of Haddonfield. And that is the best synopsis that I can give you for Halloween Kills. If that sounds like a fun time, well, this movie is currently streaming on several different platforms. You can check it out there, or you can pick up the physical copy. That's my personal favorite way to watch any movie. But guys, we are going to get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween Kills here in a second. But before we do that, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button. Check out all the different content that I have. Whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or even ranked list videos, I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween Kills. My first positive for this movie is going to be that opening title sequence, which again, I know is something that I've mentioned several times in these Halloween reviews. I'm a sucker for a great opening title sequence, and this movie does not disappoint. We open up with a pumpkin. That pumpkin has a flame go into it, and then we start to see multiple pumpkins that are on fire. They're coming at the screen on fire. They start to burn more and more. They start to get charred, and it's a great way to connect that previous 2018 film with this movie because, of course, that movie ended in flames. So the opening title sequence of this film, every pumpkin is on fire. And I just think they put so much time and effort into that opening title sequence that I couldn't leave it out of my positives. This is one of the strongest, if not even my favorite opening title sequence for the entire franchise. My next positive for this movie is going to be that flashback sequence that I talked about a little bit earlier. Going back to that night in 1978 was such a smart move. They're able to capture the tone and atmosphere of that original 1978 film perfectly. They're also able to recreate that original Michael Myers mask so damn well. I don't think any of the sequels after that original 1978 film even came close to what they were able to recreate in this film. That mask looks great. It looks so much like that original mask. Again, the tone, the atmosphere, the mask that Myers is wearing, all while trying to build another story for another character in this franchise. I think they did all of that perfectly. And since we're still on the topic of masks, well, let's move on to my next positive, which is the inclusion of the 3 iconic masks from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. We get the Silver Shamrock mask back in a Halloween film. This time they're just on 3 random kids that are running around the neighborhood going trick-or-treating. You see the skull mask, the witch mask, the pumpkin mask. It's so cool seeing those masks on those kids on Halloween night. Now, those masks have nothing to do with Halloween 3. Remember, that film is a completely separate timeline from all of the other timelines within this franchise, but it was just a great, respectful way to add in something from the past into this film. And then, of course, we see one of those masks a little bit later as we see Michael Myers walk out of the bushes holding that skull mask as it's all bloody, insinuating that he killed that kid. The other kids drop their masks, they run away. Michael then kills all of the adults in the area and takes time putting those masks on those adults that he just killed and tying them up to a swing set. It's one of the coolest scenes in this entire movie. I love the inclusion of those masks, and I love that this Michael Myers also took time to sort of set up his victims like the Michael Myers from the 1978 film. And my final positive for this movie is living up to the name Halloween Kills. If you're gonna name your movie Halloween Kills, you're gonna have Michael Myers in a slasher film with the title of Kills, well then those kills have to live up to that name, and I am so very happy that they do. Like I said earlier, the movie opens with Michael killing the entire department of firefighters trying to put out that house fire, and then Michael Myers making his way through the town, killing people in a brutal fashion, killing so many people on the way back to his house. But when he gets to his house, he finds that it's been restored, and there's a very happy married couple living in that house named Big John and Little John. But Michael Myers doesn't care about any of that. He kills both of them, and again, just continues to go through this movie killing so many people. But while he's killing people, you also have this outraged mob that is now formed in Haddonfield trying to get to Michael Myers, and so many of them meet Michael Myers and die throughout this film, including a scene at the end where they've got Michael Myers dead to rights. They shoot him, they hit him, they stab him, and Michael Myers just gets up and kills each and every one of them. So again, if you're gonna name your movie Halloween Kills, it needs to live up to that name, and I think this movie does. I love the kills in this film, so it had to be a positive. But that'll do it for my positives. Now we have to move into my negatives, and I said at the beginning of this video that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this film, because all of the things I just talked about I think are some of the best things within the entire Halloween franchise. The look of Michael Myers' mask, the kills in this film, the visuals you get throughout, whether it's going back to 1978 or even in present day. I think so many things are done so damn well, but the things we're going to get into are some of my least favorite things in the entire Halloween franchise. So let's get into my negatives, and again, these are some of the worst negatives in the Halloween franchise. The first negative I have is Officer Hawkins' backstory. I don't think it was necessary, and after a while you just realize that they're filling time within this second movie giving you his backstory. Yes, it was really cool to go back to 1978. I'm glad they did that, but the way they got there was doing it through Officer Hawkins' story. You find out that he didn't kill Michael back in 1978, although he probably wouldn't have been able to anyway, as Michael had been shot 6 times by Loomis and fallen out of a window and just gotten up and walked away. But okay, so Hawkins now is the reason we had that awesome flashback, and now we get to him and Laurie being in the same room at the hospital, and they talk to each other the entire time. Hawkins says, "I need to be the one to kill Michael Myers," and literally nothing comes of that. And nothing even comes of that in Halloween Ends, which is a movie we'll talk about next, but nothing comes of that at all. Hawkins is not the person to kill Michael Myers, yet he spends the entire movie wasting so much runtime talking to Laurie, talking to you, the viewers, about how he has to be the one to kill Michael Myers. But Laurie spends the entire movie doing the exact same thing. So I absolutely despise the Hawkins side plot in this film because it ultimately goes nowhere at all. And that leads to my next big irritation in this film, which is the character of Laurie Strode doing absolutely nothing but giving monologues for the entire movie. Laurie is just another character in this movie that seems to be filler to get you to the next film. She's in this hospital talking to Hawkins for almost the entire runtime of the movie. There are a couple of times where she's like, I'm going to join the mob. I'm going to take the fight to Michael. I need to be the one to kill him. But then she's stopped for one reason or another, and she's put back in her hospital bed each time. And while I guess you could say, well, she was in the hospital for the majority of Halloween 2, well, at least she did something at the end of that film. At least her and Loomis had something to do with Michael at the end, which was a payoff to her basically being out of commission for that entire movie. But in this movie, you don't have that payoff. You just have Laurie in a hospital bed talking about how she needs to be the one to kill Michael, talking about how every time he kills, he transcends, he becomes more supernatural, talking to Karen, talking to her granddaughter Allison. She's doing all of this talking, all of this monologuing throughout the entire film, but ultimately she doesn't do anything. Much like Hawkins, she's just another character that's sort of filling out time waiting to get to the next film. My next negative for this movie is going to be the mob that forms in Haddonfield, and of course they're chanting "Evil dies tonight" the entire film, and this mob is just another piece of this story that feels like filler. You've got this mob that rises up, led by Tommy Doyle. Of course, he was a boy in 1978 who was protected by Laurie, so now that he's grown up, he wants to protect Laurie, and he wants to protect the town, so he puts this mob together to go after Michael Myers. They chant "Evil dies tonight" over and over and over, and ultimately end up going after a Danny DeVito look-alike who they think is Michael Myers, but of course that's not Michael Myers. It's just another mental patient who escaped on the same night as Michael Myers. They chase this person to their death. And I think the movie is trying to talk about mob mentality and how horrible it can end up being, even if you're doing something in the name of justice. So while I understand that the movie was trying to say something with this mob, again, it just feels like filler. You've got Michael Myers clearly on the other side of town, so you, the viewer, know, hey, this mob is literally chasing the wrong person the whole movie. That'll lead to my final and biggest negative for this film. One of the reasons I put this movie in the hate category when I said earlier that it was a love-hate, because I think they absolutely fumble the ending of this movie. You've got this scene where Michael has Allison cornered in his old home, and then Karen comes to her rescue. She takes the mask from Michael, and she sort of runs away, but also taunts him at the same time. Michael takes the bait. He follows her about a block into the middle of the street where she drops the mask. As he picks it up, he realizes that he's fallen into another trap. That angry crowd, that mob that's led by Tommy Doyle, has surrounded him with knives, bats, guns, all kinds of weapons. And in that moment, Michael bends down to put on the mask. I'm just going to show you the scene. With that incredible music playing as Michael puts on that mask, as a Halloween fan, I just wish they had let Michael tear through each and every one of them, kill every single one of them. But instead of doing that, we once again are treated to a Laurie Strode monologue as Michael gets the hell kicked out of him. They beat him with the bat, they stab him, they shoot him, they knock him to the ground, they think he's dead, only for Laurie's monologue to continue as Michael rises up and then in slow motion kills everybody that was around him, including Tommy Doyle. And if that wasn't bad enough, if they hadn't teased us with an incredible moment and let that fall flat, this is where they absolutely fumble this film. While you've got all of that going on, Michael killing people in slow motion while Laurie monologues, we now cut to Karen, and Karen is back at Michael Myers' old house. She looks up in the window and thinks she sees the young version of Michael Myers. So she walks up the stairs of the house, she goes into that bedroom, she looks out the window, and then Michael Myers kills her. Seemingly, he teleported into that room and kills her. He sneaks up behind her, kills Karen, and the movie ends. And that's what we're treated to at the end of Halloween Kills. It is by far one of my least favorite entries in this franchise, and it's one of the worst movie endings that I can think of. It really is such a tease. In that moment, you're like, oh, Michael's gonna kill everybody. And you know what? If Michael had just cut his way through that entire crowd, they hadn't wasted any time with him going down and then getting back up. And in that moment, if he had also killed Karen, someone who means a lot to Laurie, it would have worked, but they didn't do that. Instead, he has this whole moment where he's down. You think, oh wow, maybe they've killed Michael, when all of us know you're not going to kill Michael. And then he gets up, kills the crowd, teleports back to his home, and kills Karen. And there you go. You now have set up Laurie versus Michael again. And that is the biggest fumble in this movie and one of the biggest fumbles of this entire franchise. Overall, like I said at the beginning of this video, I have a very love-hate relationship with this film. I feel like I've given you all of my thoughts on those reasons. I hope those reasons make sense. Would I recommend this movie to people? I would say this: if you've never seen this franchise before, or you've never seen this timeline, then definitely check out Halloween Kills. I think it is important to watch this before getting to Halloween Ends, but I'll admit it to you guys, I've only checked this movie out a small handful of times because it's just not a movie I want to go back to very often. And every time that I do, I'm reminded of the things that I love and the things that I hate. But as always, guys, those are just my opinions because that's my review for Halloween Kills. Have you guys had a chance to see this film? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. And finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. And don't forget, evil dies tonight.
Say that again?
Alright guys, we got to the end of my Halloween Kills review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've had such a fun time watching and reviewing each and every one of these films in this franchise, and I can't wait to get to Halloween Ends and then put together my full ranked list. I am so very excited for the holiday of Halloween for so many reasons, but one of them is to put the cap on this review series. Guys, in the meantime, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got my entire Halloween movie review series list right there, and I've got all of my horror movie reviews right there.